We launched the Leadership Tohu, which is our new set of leadership expectations, and it describes what an awesome leader looks like at AT. So the values are core for everything that we do in AT. So we've built our Leadership Tohu around the values. They're kind of core for how we behave, what we expect from one another, and the Leadership Tohu is the leadership lens on our values, because leadership is probably the most important thing we can do to transform our culture. So the Leadership Tohu describes what awesome leadership is about, and if we can get great leadership across AT, it will enable a great culture and enable us to do what we need to do to keep Auckland moving and create easy journeys.
Kia ora everybody, I'm Jenny Chetwin, so I'm in the Planning and Investment Group. The last time I stood up in front of you was my first day last year. I don't know if you guys remember, but I got to come and just say hi when we had the last gathering. That was over 18 months ago. So I've been with AT 18 months, and wow, what an amazing journey I've had, which has been incredible, just to work with so many amazing people and to go through so much over the last 18 months together, and the way we've pulled together has been just amazing. So I am so proud and so pleased to be part of AT, and I kind of feel like it's a 18-month anniversary for me today, but yeah, it's awesome to be here. So I'm going to take you through what actually the four tohu actually are. But first of all, just a really brief reflection on my experience of why expressing behaviour expectations and expressing values like this is actually really important. When I was 16, late 80s, maybe mid to late 80s. How do we get this? We're the same age, by the way.
90s.
Yeah. I got my first job as a waitress at Fisherman's Table. Do you guys remember Fisherman's Table? They're still around. Don't know, in Wellington, and I was so excited, and I put my lovely little uniform on, and I trotted into my job, and I started waitressing tables, and I thought everything was going really well, and I was having a good time. I was giving good service, I thought, to customers. I was running around like crazy, taking the meals from the servery out to the customers, cleaning up the salad bar. They had salad bars back then. Yuck. You've no idea what goes on in a salad bar. It's gross. So I was doing my job. I was running around, serving drinks, serving people, clearing up tables, back in the kitchen, all this sort of stuff. And then something happened. I got fired. It's like, wow, I got fired. I was 16 and I got freaking fired from my first job. I was mortified, and I couldn't understand it. And I was brave, and I thought, no, I'm going to be brave. I'm going to ask my supervisor, kind of, why? Why? And she said to me, oh, Jenny, what's really important for us at Fisherman's Table is teamwork. And I'm like, what's that? I was 16. And the good part of the story is that she took the time to sit down and explain to me what that was and what the behaviours were that were expected as part of teamwork. Because at the age of 16, I had really no concept of that idea. Many of you probably did, but I didn't at the age of 16. And so she sat down and she explained what kind of behaviours were actually expected when you're working in a team, when you're working with other people. And she said, your colleagues don't see you working as a team member. They said that you just run around doing your own thing and they're not getting any help from you. And I was absolutely mortified. I went home, bawled my eyes out, as you do when you're 16, but thought, nah, screw this, I'm going to go back. So I went back and I asked her if I could try again. And she was great. She gave me the opportunity to try again. But what was really important was how she expressed the teamwork principles and the teamwork behaviours and the teamwork values. And that really helped me to click in my brain what behaviour was expected of me and what I needed to do to be better and to be different and to change my behaviour. And I stayed there for 3 years. So it was a good outcome at the end of the day, but it was mortifying being fired. But it was a great learning about how if you take the time to talk to your people about what's expected as well as express it, they can understand better and they can behave in the way that we're looking for. So those conversations and that expression of that value set was hugely important for my development and for my success to stay as a waitress for 3 more years and get myself some pocket money to go buying clothes, which is what I really wanted to do.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. Come on. I see a little bit of that going on here too. So the lesson there is these are important expressions of our values and expressions of the behaviour we need to see around those values. But the important part also is to make them come to life, is to talk to your people about them and to really talk it through what it looks like and what it means in a really friendly, open way. That team leader at Fisherman's Table did that for me. She wasn't aggressive, she just explained. And it was really helpful for me to develop and stay employed. So that's my little story about why this stuff's really important. So let's have a look at what the 4 tohu actually are and how they were created. So they were created in the true spirit of oahangatanga. We held focus groups around the business, and that approach was used because that's the way we do things around here. We do things together, and we really think about what everyone is needing from them. We looked at what people were saying on viewpoint surveys as well about what behaviours they were looking for and what they wanted specifically from their leaders. We also took a whole lot of learnings from the coffee kōrero that were run a few months ago, which happened post-COVID, and we listened and learned from what people were saying about what their leaders needed to do and be for all our people. So it was all that kind of information that came together to help us develop these things. And we took all that collaboration and all those insights, and the leadership tohu were created, they were born, and we've got them today to have a chat through. And how do we use them? Hopefully my little story gave you a little bit of an insight about how we can use them. They need to be alive, and they need to be used, and they need to be part of the conversation, and we need to be really open about expressing what this is for us and talking about it, because that's the way culture in an organisation stays alive and gets created. And it's also the way we keep it safe. And it doesn't become an aggressive, you're not doing what I want. It's more a conversation about, this is how we behave around here, this is how we are. We've got a really good opportunity as leaders, all of us in this room, to really role model these behaviours as well, so our people can see the behaviour in us. I'm sure Tash and I have had plenty of experiences where our leaders in the past, none of you here, and not our leader, have experienced behaviours that haven't really been consistent with this. And the impact of that is you don't get out of people what you need, and they don't get out of you what they need. And the whole environment in which they're working in just becomes really unhappy. And I've had experiences of that, and I'm really, really motivated not to create that here. We also having the 4 expectations will really let us identify potential in our future leaders as well. So you'll be able to see your people and how they behave and how they react and how they embrace these behaviours, and you can identify others and other future leaders as well. So they're just really important benchmarks for who we are and how we relate to each other. And I noticed that one of the little post-it notes that kept coming back to me in that last session was treat others as you would treat yourself. Which I think is a really important concept as well. And they're also a really good way to recognise really great behaviour in our people and in ourselves as well. So, if you've got a language around what good looks like and what we need to be, you've got a really, really great way to go, hey, I really liked, Tash, the way you did that. And that was really cool because it was really consistent with how we're trying to be as AT. Not getting you. So they're a good language for us to have a great conversation with our people about what good looks like and how we support each other. So I think they're really, really helpful. I can remember when I was at NZTA and we smashed Transit New Zealand and Land Transport New Zealand together into one organisation in 2008. And those 2 organisations came together with incredibly different culture sets and culture expectations and behavioural expectations. It was like Mars and Venus. It was incredibly different. But the value in trying to create a new set of expectations was that you brought organisations together and created a common language to actually behave in the same way. And that was incredibly helpful. It takes a long time. Behaviour takes a while to change, but it was really valuable having it expressed in one space. So let's have a look at them in terms of what they actually are. Okay, so our first one, oahatanga. I've got to learn how to say this properly, and I tried to practice this morning. This one is all about, it's our commitment to role model and lead this. It's all about our innovation, strategic thinking, and excellence. So what this one is really saying is, as a leader, I'm an innovator. I proactively look for opportunities to improve our ability to deliver through constant learning, which we're just doing now, and innovation. It's a really powerful thing to think about. It's also about saying to yourself, I'm a strategic thinker as a leader. I don't just value diversity of thought and opinion, I actually actively go out and find it, because it really adds to how I'm thinking and the ultimate solution and the outcomes that we're getting to. In this one, I'm also thinking as a leader about how I'm a champion of excellence. I'm empowering and enabling our people to really drive change with an understanding of the priorities that we've got as an organisation. So those are really powerful things for me to connect to in terms of my behaviour as a leader. I'm going to be an innovator, I'm going to be strategic, I'm going to value diversity, I'm going to seek it out actively, and I'm going to be a champion of excellence. And that's a great leadership guide or thing I can keep in my mind about how I need to behave when I'm in situations. Whanaungatanga, this expectation is all about relationships, which is really close to my way I operate. This one is I'm saying to myself, I'm a trusted partner. I build trust and confidence with everybody that I work with. And I think on some of the post-it notes that was going around actually as well, there was a trust and confidence one that I saw, which is pretty important. This one's really special to me. I'm a collaborator. So my view is that the complex things that we deal with, we're not playing tiddlywinks, right? The complex things that we deal with as an organisation need all of our expertise and all of our views to come together to really solve the problems we're dealing with. So if I think of myself as a leader and as a collaborator, I will collaborate freely with you, without ego, without fear of being wrong, to get the right outcome. And that's really important. I'm a connector, I think to myself, and I build relationships to create those networks to enable me to understand others' opinions, others' views, others' ideas, so I can get the best outcome.
So te akitanga, safe with us. So under this leadership tohu, it's all about being a culture builder. That's really important. You're a guardian and you're an influencer. So, I mean, this to me, the next two, I guess, if I'm honest, the next two are the most important ones for me, personally. I think they're all important because they all need to be looked at together because they show up collectively. But these two, I think, are incredibly important. So we live our values every day. I think te akitanga and manaakitanga, which is the next one, really are important. And I think with manaakitanga, we saw that come to life with COVID last year. This is about compassionate leadership. The two of these together create compassionate leaders. This is about empathy. This is about creating a culture and a place where our people feel safe to speak up, where they have trust, where you trust them. We heard a lot of that earlier in terms of the new ways of working and flexibility. Trust sits at the core. This is about enabling people. It's about empathy. It's about developing people. We heard Francis yesterday talk about the culture of learning and how important learning is for all of us, but for all of our teams. So that's to enable that is critical. And being part of a community, whether it's the community here today, whether it's your community at home, whether it's your community back in the office or the community broader across the Auckland region. So manaakitanga and te akitanga and how this shows up in terms of leadership is critical. So I guess you've seen it all. This is our leadership tohu. This is, I guess, the kite of all the things that we want to see from great leaders. We're launching them today. Ta-da! And I guess from here...
Should we dance?
And from here on, it's all about how we all bring these to life every day. And everybody in AT brings them to life, and how we connect with externally too, because as I mentioned at the start, every interaction, every conversation, every behaviour, everything we do every day shows up for our people, our communities and our customers, and ultimately impacts our brand and reputation as an organisation. So this is important. And if I think back to Shane's 5 priorities, 4 or 5, I couldn't quite figure them out as he was going through. But number 4 was about Whirinaki, right? It was about trust, confidence and mana. And then number 3 was about culture and new ways of working. And both of these really are about delivering on that. So very exciting. So I think we're going to have a crack now at bringing them to life. Is that the plan? Thank you.
You need this? We're good at this now.